Sorry about that.
Actually, no.
Oh shoot, I'm logged in, so I have your in the camera.
You're good, Maria. You always get a pass. Always.
We're live.
We are live, everybody.
Woo!
Pokemon cards, serious, violence and everything is what we have to look forward to today. That's Rise Up, right? But yeah, welcome to the show, everybody. Rise Up. This is where we talk about responsibility, integrity, service, and empathy in action. And what I like to say, rising up out of our ignorance of what's going on in the world and the difference that I can make today. We've got everyone in the studio. It's like we're just on a roll here. Not that we would expect anything less, but we've got Ricky DeSanto over here. Hello. Got Iris Vojtovic and Naria. She's like a little see-through today, but she'll come back into focus soon enough.
I can't see her, but she's waving.
Yeah, did you see that? I saw it. All right, let's get into it. We got a more somber topic to start us off. Ricky, you got a story about Afghanistan and kind of this tragedy that happened recently, and the UN condemned. So let's hear about it, Ricky.
Yeah. So for this week, following the theme of international relations, we are talking about what happened in Afghanistan. So basically, to give some context, again, if you guys don't know, Afghanistan has been a source of conflict for a very long time. The two main parties being the Islamic State and the terrorist group, the Taliban. And in between that, you also had the US and NATO getting involved, and kind of like Russia and China a little bit, but not so much getting involved as well on the side of the Syrians, the Taliban. And yeah, it's just been such a huge source of conflict and death. And it was known for a very long time in the States as a huge source of concern, because we were spending a lot of time there and we're spending a lot of money and nothing was being resolved. So recently, President Biden was able to pull out troops completely from Afghanistan and basically just left the Afghanistan government to deal with the Taliban and the U.S. is supporting in other ways. So what happened recently, because the UN is still working inside of Afghanistan, supporting them in the ways that they do. And one of the organizations that is working in conjunction with the UN is this group that basically removes mines from land that could potentially kill innocent civilians. And this group, which is working in conjunction with the UN, which also hires locals from the area, recently were murdered in cold blood by some of the militias. Reportedly, it was Islamic State militias, but we're not sure yet. And yeah, I think this speaks a lot to the issue on protection of employees who are doing these non-governmental type work that's really beneficial to the whole society. But also it speaks to the kind of environment that Afghanistan is in now, which is very tense since the US has left. And there's arguments being made that because the US has left, the two warring militias in Afghanistan want to incite conflict again. yeah, I think that's basically the situation. If you guys have any questions or comments, you can respond to those.
Yeah, thanks, Ricky. When I first, read the headline and the article, basically just saying UN is condemning this. Obviously, obviously no one is. Anyone would condemn something like this, but I couldn't understand it at first. Just you would think. This isn't like cleaning windows on a high-story tower. This is like you're putting your life at risk to remove these landmines, and then someone out of nowhere you're being attacked. It just didn't make it was completely senseless to me. And then and I was asking you about that, and you responded how there's a tribalism happening here. There's different factions within even the Muslim community, or at least the people living there. And so there's peace, unfortunately, is not what they want. They want to instigate, continue to push their position, and so and rather than take sides, it's kind of like there's just a lot of conflict still. It's unresolved, and it's not always best to just be present with your military. And at the same time, you need to, what can we do? And so our thoughts definitely go with those lives that were lost. And I hope that it's not in vain. We can continue to, develop this country, Afghanistan. So, but anyone else want to comment or ask a question?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to read it. I like hearing it firsthand from Ricky when he shares. But it sounds pretty grim. What's happening especially when you mentioned that when American troops are pulled out, it sounds like things might get more intense and there's going to be more conflict. So I'm wondering, like, what would be the best approach? It is odd for like an outside country to bring their military to hold the peace in someone else's country, but then again, if they don't have a good handle on like trying to keep the peace or even working towards that, then yeah, I can understand why the UN would feel that they need to condemn and also like get involved. But just condemning, I wonder if that really does anything, and if they care, like, oh, the UN is condemning our actions, and if that matters to them at all.
Yeah, for me, I think I'm just wondering why all this violence is necessary, or what is it about humans, or that what is it about the human condition that thinks violence is the way to go in terms of achieving power? And are there better ways to get to a peaceful conclusion that are also quicker than going to violence? What's really the long-term power to ruling with violence versus having peacefully led discussions, besides it being expedited?
Ricky, you want to respond?
Yeah. I feel strongly that the conflict isn't inherently a Sunni Shia thing.
Right.
Because you have other situations where the Sunni and Shia are living amongst each other and things are fine. I think the conflict comes when you have instability, when people are desperate for food, basic necessities, jobs, and when they feel like they don't have nothing to live for, they want something to fight for. I think that's when you get situations like that, from my personal opinion, from what I've seen. So I feel like one solution or one approach to a situation like this is stability and providing opportunities for the people there. And then once you have that kind of sense of stability, you can bring up, these things that have been so problematic for the population there.
Yeah, I agree in that it's not one or the other. It's not binary, good and bad. It's such a whole web of complicated, situations, history, like you said, and just being irrational. I know, like, when have you been in a situation where you just didn't act rationally because you were in a difficult spot? That's human nature, which is unpredictable, and so it really takes time. And I think when the UN, it's like making that statement, it just kind of helps. Let's move in this direction, and it's like, of course they can't force any issue, but let's work in this direction. And guys, there's conflicts like this all over the world, and it's like, what can they really reasonably do other than, like, all right, we can't, we're not sending troops in here. We want to just say this was wrong, and we all agree on that. So it may not seem like a lot, but I don't know. I think it's a step, and and I think again, I think our thoughts do matter. Our good thoughts do matter, and that's why here on Rise Up, guys, like we talk about heavy issues, but we also need to be, keep the hope alive as well. So that's always my follow-up question. Like, is there any hope at all that, should we be hopeful, Ricky?
I think so. What I found, like, really hopeful for me was an interview that was done, I think, by BBC with the military of Afghanistan, and I think that the kind of sense I got for them is, like, they're really passionate about unifying Afghanistan, unifying the people, and they want to take ownership of that, which I found, like, really cool. The Afghans want to take ownership of their country. They don't want, like, countries like the US getting involved anymore. And I think that's going to be the most important thing, and for the country to move forward. It's just like, having that kind of attitude,
Right. It's like, hey, give us some space. Yeah, it doesn't look nice, right? It doesn't look pretty right now, but we need some time to work on it. Yeah, that's hopeful. All right, thank you, Ricky. And let's go to Iris. We've got some. Sorry, Iris, I know it's heavy right now. We love your articles. They just cheer us up right back up again. So.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Sometimes it's just like, what kind of bomb is Ricky going to drop today, and what kind of cleanup am I going to have to do with my article?
Hey.
Thank you for sharing. No, it's okay. It's the duality is important here, and that's what we focus on in Rise Up. Anyway, hi, good morning, everybody. I am giving you 2 articles today. This first one is coming from Virginia, from an 8-year-old boy named Bryson Kleeman. So, Bryson Kleeman, he's your typical 8-year-old boy who's enjoying life, playing Pokemon, collecting Pokemon cards, and has a puppy. Now, if that doesn't sound like the American dream to you, I don't know what it is. Anyway, so Bryson was having a good old time in his life until his puppy, Bruce, got really sick with a lethal virus and needed medical attention. However, the bill for that was over $600, $700. And his family being worried about how to pay it off, Bryson had the bright and selfless idea to sell his Pokemon card collection. No. So yes, I know, I hear you. It's really sad times, guys, but he had a selfless heart. He loves his puppy. He's like, puppy or Pokemon cards? You know the decision, guys. Well, maybe some of you. I don't know about Ricky. Anyway, so he put out on the table on his front lawn with a sign that says Pokemon cards for sale. And his neighbors came around. They were very interested in what he was doing, and they were just giving him money at first. They weren't even taking his cards. He sold maybe a few. And so his mom posted a photo of his little table out front on his yard to see if he could get any social media support. And the support was overwhelming, actually. Everybody started asking, do you have a GoFundMe? Is there any way that we can support from the front? And yeah, before she knew it, the medical bill was paid, and everyone was so moved by Bryson's heart that even the Pokemon headquarters in Seattle heard about it and sent him new cards with a note saying like, "Hey, we heard about your selfless act to pay for your dog's medical bills by selling you Pokemon cards. So here are more cards to fill in your collection." So it just goes to show that one act of selfless love can go a really long way, especially if you post it on social media. Hey, doesn't hurt. And yeah, so I don't know if there's something that you feel you can do for you or someone in your family. There's always a way to help in any way, shape, or form. And like Milhan was saying, good thoughts count too. So yeah, that's that story. The second story I have for you all today is actually quite interesting. I had no idea that the incarceration rate in the States was falling, let alone closing down various facilities, prison facilities, that there's now a chance and a new hope to repurpose all of these unused facilities into homeless shelters, farms, and even movie sets. So here's the breakdown. The number of people incarcerated in the U.S. prisons right now and local jails dropped from around 2.1 million in 2019 to 1.8 by mid-2020 last year, which is about a 300,000 drop or a 14% decrease. And since 2011, 22 states have closed correctional facilities, amounting to 94 fewer state prisons and juvenile detention centers. And so that's a lot of empty, unused, abandoned facilities, which a lot of people have actually started to invest in. So places like Gainesville and Alachua County, they have turned their local correctional institute that had been abandoned into what is called Grace Marketplace, which has served 750,000 meals, seeing 1,500 residents rehoused and serviced more than 15,000 homeless in the area, while reducing chronic homelessness by 38%. Those are staggering numbers, and that's just one spot. So imagine how much better that would be if more programs like these were opened up using these empty facilities. Another example is prisons turning into farms. So in North Carolina, there's this one correctional institute that is using farming as a means to educate and discipline juvenile delinquents, as well as give veterans a new purpose in life and helping to educate them. And thank you.
Hello.
Breakfast is important, guys. Thanks, Mom. Anyway, so yeah, we have that going on in North Carolina. So there's a symbiotic relationship, a synergetic relationship between the youth being educated by the veterans' disciplinary backgrounds and the veterans feeling needed and gaining a new hope for life. And our last example is prisons being used as movie sets. So maybe you've heard of the show Orange is the New Black. And for their entire show, they used this one abandoned prison institution in Staten Island. And that building has now become a permanent set for any show or movie that needs a prison scene. And so there's a permanent staff there now. And because of that, it also supports all the local businesses that need like food or supplies or anything like that. So it's supporting an entire community. So yeah, these are just a few examples of how to rehabilitate our abandoned institutions in a way that's way more helpful to our greater society, I think. And yeah, so those are the two stories I have for you. I hope they inspire you in big or small ways. Either you find a cause for a child who's trying to raise money for their pet and support them, or you put in an email or a letter to your local government official saying, hey, I know that there's this abandoned prison institution in our area. Let's do something about it. Whatever it is, whatever level of change you feel inspired to do it. Just do it. So, yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Iris. Gosh, yeah, that sounds like a synergy project right there waiting to happen.
Right?
Just, yeah, turning it into, I don't know, for research or for environment, climate change, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there are even some that are used to protect like banking information and money and stuff. So it's like they can be used as safe. Literally, if you have an idea, for one, the best thing is to pitch it, and it'll probably go through. I mean, of course, you need financial support and figure all that stuff out, but it just goes to show that the ideas are endless, and anything is better than it being used as a prison. So yeah.
I love it. I mean, I don't even have to ask you if we're hopeful. I mean, these stories are so moving and hopeful for America. I mean, America, we have to rise up again, you know, and get creative and build something beautiful that we all can appreciate. So thank you for those. And gosh, I love the story about Pokemon. You know, the kid selling his Pokemon cards. Look, I collected them. I still have them. A lot of my kids. I mean, that could be my son or daughter up there next. You know, about. Hopefully, I don't have financial difficulty that much, but it's about just taking responsibility. And honestly, this is the power of youth. Because when somebody at that age or even our age steps up, it's not about like we think, oh, we're so small. What difference are we going to make? You know, I mean, the kid was just trying to help save his dog. We think, I mean, that might look super insignificant from his point of view, but what happened is just like it moved however many thousands of maybe millions of people who saw this story, and moved even the heart of a corporation. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we're talking about, the power of youth. And so that's what we try to do here at YSP, you know, whether it's synergy or, you know, this Rise Up channel. We just want you guys to know you matter. You know, what your thought, your action, it's a story that needs to be told. So, because Iris is going to pick it up. We're going to hear from you. But yeah, any thoughts, guys? I know, Ricky, you're, I think you're particularly moved by one of these stories.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say also that, you know, if you end up as one of Iris' stories, you know you made it.
Yes.
But yeah, no, just like it was hard because I really like both articles. The prison article because I know how like bad the concentration problem is in the States, and like the fact that it's declining is huge. Like I never would have expected that to happen. But the Pokemon thing, that was like, man, that hit my heart. I almost cried reading that. I was like, oh, no, not the Pokemon cards. Yeah, because like Pokemon was just such a huge part of my early life, and it still is. Because I recently found out that you can download emulators on computers. So I'm playing Pokemon on my computer now. I don't need a DS or whatever. So I still love Pokemon. And yeah, what else I thought was really cool was the fact that the Pokemon company like came in and was like gracious enough to donate. Was it that they had? I think donated like 4 battle packs, and then there is this.
Let's get technical now.
I don't know that much about Pokemon
They're
cards.
probably booster boxes, but anyway. Probably some
yeah.
booster. Yeah.
But also they give them like this the package to actually be able to do Pokemon battles, which is really cool, like card battles. And I know like VGC recently is like making it like a bigger thing, like Pokemon card battles. Before it was just like the Pokemon game. Now like Pokemon card battles are really becoming big. So I think yeah, that was really cool that they offered that to him. But yeah, I think also I have a dog, and recently my dog was had to be taken to the veterinary, and let me tell you, like veterinary expensive are so bad. Like insurance is expensive, so most people don't get veterinary pet insurance. Like the actual bills, like going to the veterinary hospital is expensive, and then you have to do surgery on your pet. It's like, well, I've seen like some surgeries go to like 1,000. So I also empathize with just like the difficulty of having an animal and having to.
All right, Ricky, you got me. I'll send you my cards. All right, just everything's gonna be.
But yeah, I love the story, and I thought this kid thing is really amazing, and hope others can be inspired by the story too.
Thanks, Ricky.
Thanks, Ricky. Naria?
Yeah, thanks, Ricky. I think Ricky shared a lot about the Pokemon aspect, so I guess I'll share my thoughts on the other article with the prisons. For me, that's pretty interesting and innovative, especially hearing the statistics, like how one community, they turned their prison to like a homeless shelter, and then they were able to reduce chronic homelessness by like 38%. That's amazing. I guess I'm maybe playing a little bit of the devil's advocate. So just wondering, like, when they have the numbers that, like, how many people were incarcerated, like the numbers dropping. It sounds great. Like maybe there's less criminals, but I'm wondering if it's also the justice system's not being as strict, maybe with like incarcerating people for certain things. But that's just a thought that occurred to me with the numbers, statistics, and stuff. So, but that's always something to consider whenever you hear in news and media, like the numbers, what is actually the research or the backstory. So just wanted to mention that. That was something that crossed my mind. But yeah, but I want to stay positive. I hope it's actually for a really good reason.
Yeah, I mean, I think the article mentioned that a big part of the decline in incarceration was like the legalization of drugs and stuff. Like they were more lenient on drugs, so a lot of the crimes people would have usually been arrested for just like aren't happening. But I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, and oftentimes you hear people are incarcerated for the smallest, like most mundane, ridiculous things, and meanwhile, like people who have done some like horrible things, like don't get like such a really strict sentence or anything. So I really hope that we can adjust that, where people who have done something, but that's not like worthy of putting them in prison for part of their life, something that they can correct or like make up for. I hope that they can change that. Speaking of prison, my son is in his crib right now, so he's not so happy.
A little microcosm. You know, and I'm no expert on prisons, but I do consider like this the psychological damage. And again, I'm sure not every prison is the same, but I'm just wondering, like, where are the parents? You know, where's the community? You know, where are all these things that kind of just help our people, our young people, kind of grow up right? Anyway, that's what I think about. So we can work on those. That's what we can do. Thanks, Iris. We're going to move on. My talk today is about community. You know, speaking of community, and it kind of stems from responsibility. I think the worst crime you can commit, and again, I would just, maybe this is extreme to say that, but I think the worst thing you can do is think and tell yourself that you don't matter, that you're just a drop in the pool. No one's gonna care if you do a thing or not. And I'm telling you, like, it is exactly the opposite. You are absolutely a part of a family, a community, and you know, by believing in yourself and by taking action from, out of love and all of our core values at YSP: responsibility, integrity, service, and empathy. Like if you take action in that, I mean, I'm telling you, it makes all the difference. And I'm just going to make a little point here. Yesterday was a kind of a rough day. Don't need to get into it, but this morning, someone who, I kind of respected, he just reached out and sent a little note to me saying that he's been praying for me every day for the past 7 years. And like, at that particular moment, hearing that is just it just filled me right back up, and it's like, we talk about service, but service is more than like getting your hands dirty, some physical place somewhere. I mean, even just sending good thoughts to people, like that's what community is all about. And it's like, and if you haven't heard enough of these little stories making a huge impact and moving people's hearts, and I'm sure multiplying, we need this every day, guys. I mean, we should be doing this show every day, letting you know that there is so much good that can inspire. Just like there's a treasure, an infinite treasure box of inspiration and ideas to make this world. It may not become perfect, but we can make it a little bit better. And if we just do this consistently enough, we're gonna, before we know it, we're gonna have a community where every single person is gonna have good thoughts going to them, so we all can grow up right. And, we're the ones to make this happen. So all of you youth out there, I'm just asking the question: who's looking out for you? Who's sending you good thoughts, and who are you sending good thoughts to? It could even be your dog. I mean, it doesn't even have to be people. It's like we're all living things in this planet. Need your thoughts, your good thoughts going to them. So that's just where I'm at right now. So I'm happy I could share that with y'all. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. I really appreciate that message. I think it's hard these days, especially with how isolated and how used to being isolated we've all been lately. And so it's very easy to feel like, one, we make no impact, two, no one cares about me, three, why does anything I do matter sometimes? And depending on how you go about those thoughts, it can take you to an extremely dark place. And trying to come out of that and find support for that and for yourself is so difficult. So yeah, like you said, we don't know what people are going through. This friend of yours had no idea that you were going through this rough patch, and then miraculously, by some serendipitous event, he reached out to you. So whether you think that's like fate or God or some sort of like universal karma power or something, believing that you do matter to a group of people and that you do have a certain effect and in that group is really important, and to believe that there is substance to you other than just your physical body taking up physical space is really vital, honestly. And that goes into the whole mental health conflict that we are talking about these days a lot. And so, yeah, so I like that call to action about being there for someone, being there for your group, or even showing up for yourself too. I think it's really important. Those little steps can really make the biggest difference.
That's it. Showing up for somebody, something, even yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Milhan. I think there's someone also, a friend of mine who also reached out to me, and just kind of like an older sister who always checks in, is like thinking of you, just want to say hi, and then I want to hear how you're doing. Just having that is very uplifting, and makes me want to be there for someone younger as well, like those who are like my younger siblings. So I think it kind of passes on or to others as well.
It is
So-
extremely contagious, extremely. And I mean, think about that. Like, you just love, you just, love on somebody. And then can you imagine, like, that's just like, that's a daily thing though, and that's what keeps the world going, frankly. So do your part. Got it, Ricky? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I was here for all that, so really appreciate it.
You bet. All right, Nari, any announcements on our way out here?
Nothing really new update wise, but just wanted to shout out to Ricky. I found out that he's actually volunteering every evening to teach English while he's in the Dominican Republic. So it's apparently a project in YSP Dominican Republic, and he mentioned that it's really important for those who can't afford to learn English, like to learn get that education, because then it gives us so many opportunities for work and jobs. And so I thought that was pretty cool. So just wanted to mention that. But other than that, yeah, nothing. No national updates or activities so far.
Go YSP Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
Ricky. All right, with that, everyone, thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Thank you.